Welcome to another Walter Football video. I'm Charlie Campbell, Senior Draft Analyst. Before we get rolling, I suggest you click in the settings, speed it up to 1.25 or 1.5. You can check in the description box below for links to the mock if you want to follow along with it there in the written form on the website. All right, let's get into this week's mock draft. As usual, what I think teams will do, not what I think they should do. So let's get rolling. First overall, Jags, Trevor Lawrence. Urban Meyer basically confirmed it. That's a done deal. Jags are lucky to get him. Second overall, Jets taking Zach Wilson, I think is becoming more likely as the weeks and pro days go by. Resetting that quarterback position, getting him on a cheap 5-year contract, moving on from Sam Darnold. I think that's the direction New York is going, but we'll see how things can possibly change during the draft meetings in April. All right, third overall, here's where it gets interesting. I have the 49ers taking Justin Fields, quarterback from Ohio State. If you check in the links below, the most recent hot press I wrote, I talked to a lot of people around the league, got their thoughts. Some thought the 49ers were going to go for Mac Jones or Trey Lance, but the majority of opinions thought their target was Justin Fields. And the 49ers are being coy about it on the pro day circuit while talking with friends at other teams. They're not really letting the cat out of the bag. But I think I talked with an NFC GM who I think made some really good points. You can read his quote in the article below. But essentially he said if you wanted Trey Lance, you wouldn't have to move up all the way to 3. You could have gotten a cheaper deal to move up for him. And if you wanted Mac Jones, he felt you could have gone the other way. You could have traded back and still gotten Mac Jones while adding on more picks for years to come. So in his opinion, it really signaled Fields. And I think that's just a great fit for San Francisco. He's accurate, good passer in terms of accuracy for Kyle Shanahan and that precision passing attack that he has, but also obviously Fields is a great runner, playmaker on the ground as well. Tons of upside, needs to develop that pocket awareness and passing in the face of a blitz. But those are things Kyle Shanahan can work with. So I think Fields would be really fortunate to land with San Francisco. All right, fourth overall, I have the Falcons taking Kyle Pitts, tight end from Florida, tight end / wide receiver, positionless player, just such a dynamic playmaking receiving weapon. He's too fast for linebackers, cornerbacks and safeties. He's way too big. His wingspan is massive. He can be a Travis Kelce, Tony Gonzalez type tight end. He could be a poor man's Calvin Johnson at wide receiver. Immediately, he helps the Falcons offense with a dynamic mismatch weapon, help them right away trying to win while they still have Matt Ryan playing at a high level. And then in the long term, he's that real true number 1 receiving weapon for the offense to replace Julio Jones. So for the Falcons, picking at 4 to land the best player in the draft after Trevor Lawrence, that's nice value for Atlanta. Fifth overall, I have the Bengals taking Penei Sewell, left tackle from Oregon. Give Joe Burrow that franchise left tackle. Got to improve that offensive line. Sewell's a plug-and-play upgrade for them. Sixth overall, I have the Dolphins taking Jamar Chase, wide receiver from LSU. Really makes the Dolphins' wide receiving room so much more dynamic. And when you have Devontae Parker and Will Fuller, with Chase and Fuller coming aboard, that's going to really help Tua in terms of deep shot receivers, guys who can score on any time they touch the ball, really sources of big plays. So with that trio of receivers and Gesicki at tight end, Tua's really going to have some excellent weapons to work with here in year 2. Seventh overall, I have the Lions taking Elijah Vera-Tucker, left tackle from USC. Vera-Tucker is a really good player. He's been getting underrated throughout the process. I know some teams' sources think he's one of the best players in the draft, but for the Lions, he could come in at right tackle, help them form one of the best offensive lines in the league with Taylor Decker and Frank Ragnow, protect Jared Goff, run the ball well with DeAndre Swift. I think this pick isn't the sexiest, but it's going to help that long-term rebuild in Detroit. And nothing like winning the line of scrimmage with one of the best offensive lines. That's just really going to help them in the long term. So I think Vera-Tucker would be a nice pick for the Lions at 7. 8th overall, I have the Panthers taking J.C. Horn, cornerback from South Carolina. They miss out on the top 3 quarterbacks, but I don't think they like Trey Lance enough to take him in the first round, and I think that Mac Jones, same kind of thing. So I think Carolina could look to upgrade another position. They need that number 1 corner, an outside corner, to replace James Bradbury. Horn would be a plug-and-play player for them. Really good competitive corner to run the route, prevent separation. Would form a nice trio with Dante Jackson and Troy Pride. 9th overall, I have the Broncos taking Trey Lance, quarterback from North Dakota State. Obviously, Denver's been looking at getting quarterback upgrades like Carolina. Denver also tried to trade for Matthew Stafford. But they could take Lance, develop him, let Drew Lock play out a little bit more if Lance isn't ready to go right away. But they have great weapons there, so this pick has a ton of upside with what that young foundation of talent there with the Broncos offense. So I could see Lance being the guy for Denver at 9. 10th overall, I have the Cowboys taking Patrick Surtain, the second cornerback from Alabama. Reunite him with Trayvon Diggs. You got Jordan Lewis on the inside at the slot. That gives them a really talented trio with size, speed, and athleticism. Could really help the Cowboys defense for years to come with a really talented group of corners there. 11th overall, I have the Giants taking Jaylen Waddle, wide receiver from Alabama. Gives them a home run hitter across from Kenny Golladay. Really makes that offense more explosive. With Saquon Barkley and Evan Ingram now, it really makes things tough on defenses as to how they're going to deploy their safeties. If you put 8 in the box to stop Barkley, now you have Golladay on one side and a big play speed receiver like Waddle on the other. It's just going to be a nightmare. Could really help Daniel Jones. So I think Waddle to the Giants makes a ton of sense. 12th overall, I have the Eagles taking Caleb Farley, cornerback from Virginia Tech. Obviously, Farley has a great skill set. A few weeks ago was kind of perceived to be the top defensive player in the draft, but now this back surgery has his stock really up in the air. I could see some teams flunking him medically because of the repeated injuries he had at Virginia Tech, but he has a great skill set with size, speed, and athleticism, the best of any corner in this draft class. So it wouldn't shock me if he still goes in the first round. And the Eagles badly need an outside corner, a number 1 corner. They're not in win now mode. They need more than one player to kind of finish off that roster. Obviously, that's why they do the trade down to collect more picks, so they can be patient with Farley, let him get healthy, and if he stays healthy, then they have a really good number 1 corner for that defense. 13th overall, I have the Chargers taking Rashaan Slater, offensive lineman from Northwestern. He's played left tackle, guard, center is a possibility for him given the shorter arms. I think that's probably going to be the best fit for him, but the Chargers need more offensive line help for Justin Herbert. They should just take the best O-lineman available unless there's a really good corner, but those are the top 2 positions I think it makes sense for Los Angeles to target. I think Slater be a nice fit for them. They could start him out wherever it need be to get that best 5 offensive linemen on the field together, because Slater has that versatility. So you line him up somewhere, he's going to help Justin Herbert. 14th overall, I have the Vikings taking Christian Darrisaw, left tackle from Virginia Tech. I think this pick makes sense with a lot of the offensive linemen that Minnesota's taken in recent years. They've gone for the faster, more athletic offensive lineman that fits that Kubiak-style run game. They need a long-term left tackle. Riley Reif was cut. Darrisaw could come in and be that franchise blindside protector for Kirk Cousins. 15th overall, I have the Patriots taking Devontae Smith, wide receiver from Alabama. Really good fit, in my opinion. Even though Smith is undersized, I think that is not an issue at all in New England. They've had a lot of success with undersized receivers. Just his ability to get open quickly, uncover, get separation from his dynamic route running. Great fit for Josh McDaniels. Will really help Cam Newton in year 2. You add him with those tight ends and Nelson Aguilar, and now this offense is a lot more dynamic and a lot more versatile. 16th overall, I have the Cardinals taking Tyson Campbell, cornerback from Georgia. He's big, fast, athletic, has got to get better at playing the ball, could stand to get stronger and be a bit more physical, but he has a big-time skill set. They need a replacement for Patrick Peterson and a long-term number one corner. Campbell has that potential. 17th overall, I have the Raiders taking Alex Leatherwood, left tackle from Alabama. The Raiders could start him out at right tackle or guard. He started out at guard at Alabama, but he has really got an excellent skill set in terms of being 6'6", 320, can play the typewriter with his feet, cut off the edge from speed rushers, really good pass protector, got stronger and more physical as a senior finally. So I think that'll be a nice fit for John Gruden in terms of helping bring some youth and cheap youth to that offensive line. 18th overall, I have the Dolphins taking Micah Parsons, linebacker from Penn State. I really like this fit for Miami because Parsons is a versatile guy in terms of being a run defender. He can drop into coverage, and he's a dangerous blitzer. Blitzing is probably what he does the best, and I think you could, in Brian Flores' defense, you could have him as inside linebacker. You could move him to outside linebacker in the sub package, have him rush off the edge across from Emmanuel Ogbah, really bring some speed and explosiveness to get upfield and harass the quarterback. So I like this fit for Miami because it really fits in well with what Brian Flores does defensively. 19th overall, I have the Redskins taking Mac Jones, quarterback from Alabama. Washington, I think this really fits Scott Turner. Now, I know a lot of teams do not have a first-round grade on Mac Jones, but it only takes one team that does. I mean, for example, a few years ago, I remember some team guys telling me that their team had Christian Ponder graded in the 4th round, but the Vikings took him 12th overall. So it only takes one team to view it differently. Washington has said they're going to be targeting a quarterback. They need a long-term one, obviously. After Dwayne Haskins went bust, Ryan Fitzpatrick's just a short-term addition. But if you look at the quarterback Scott Turner has taken in recent years, Mac Jones really fits the profile with Will Grier at Carolina, also starting Kyle Allen at Carolina, now signing Fitzpatrick. These guys are all smart quarterbacks. They have some mobility and athleticism to them, but they're accurate passers that are really intelligent, and that definitely fits with Mac Jones. So I could see him being a kind of quarterback that really appeals to Washington as kind of that guy to groom under Fitzpatrick for a year or maybe even part of the season and then turn it over to him, and they're hoping that he's the long-term answer at the position. 20th overall, I have the Bears taking Jamin Davis, linebacker from Kentucky. He is rising up boards fast, just had a great pro day, but his season of tape last year was phenomenal at Kentucky. He's big, fast, physical, really good dropping in coverage, tough run defender, sideline to sideline speed. Obviously, that 40 time at the pro day translates to the field when you watch him on tape. He's just a missile all across that field. So I really like this value for the Bears. I think they're getting a nice player here that if he had gone back to school and built on what he did this past year, he would have been a top 16, maybe top 10 pick in 2022. But Danny Trevathan's aging, has had injury issues. Davis is the long-term answer. 21st overall, I have the Colts taking Jackson Carman, left tackle from Clemson. Give them that replacement for Anthony Costanzo. Carman is 6'5", 340, great athlete, smooth-moving guy on the edge. Has some things to clean up, but the Colts offensive line coach and coaching staff has just done a tremendous job with the young offensive linemen they've had there, developing them, and I think this would be a great fit. Carman has huge upside. They could turn him into an elite left tackle if he takes to their coaching, and obviously they need to protect Carson Wentz, and here's the replacement for Costanzo. 22nd overall, I have the Titans taking Kwity Paye, edge rusher from Michigan. Give Tennessee an edge rusher across from Bud Dupree, give them more size, speed, athleticism. I like Paye's versatility and Mike Vrabel's defense. You could line him up as an end with his hand in the ground. You can stand him up on the outside as an edge rusher. Be a really nice fit there and help that pass rush in the Titans. 23rd overall, I have the Jets taking Travis Etienne, running back from Clemson. I think this pick makes a ton of sense for the Jets in terms of helping Zach Wilson, because ETN will bring an explosiveness, consistency to that ground game, and he's such a weapon in the passing game, so dynamic, running routes out of the backfield, getting open, turning that check down into a first down with his ability to just rip off yards and chunks and dart downfield, make a guy miss. I think he could be a real asset for a young quarterback. So ETN to the Jets, I think, makes a ton of sense. I hope to see it happen, especially if the Jets take Zach Wilson, because I think this would really help their young quarterback to really make strides in the NFL. 24th overall, I have the Steelers taking Jalen Phillips, edge rusher from Miami. Phillips is really fun to watch last year. He was a tough run defender, physical, really got after it, and the pass rush kept getting better week after week. The team really rallied around him. You could see he was a leader and popular with the teammates, really brought juice to that team when he'd make a big play, and he has a ton of upside. I think if Phillips went back to Miami and had another good season, he would have been a top 10 pick in 2022. So I think this is a really good value for the Steelers. He has a ton of upside, great skill set, could be a really nice player to pair with TJ Watt. And with TJ Watt coming up on a big contract, now you have a cheap guy to pair with him for 5 years, but also a guy that's really talented and a first-round talent on the other side. So it makes sense to me from that salary cap perspective as well. 25th overall, I have the Jags taking Christian Barmore, defensive tackle from Alabama. Urban Meyer is always, whether it was Florida or Ohio State, he's always had fast, athletic defensive lines that could really get after the quarterback. Barmore would definitely fit that. He's a dynamic interior rusher. Run defense needs to get better. He's got to mature, get a bit more in becoming a professional in terms of work ethic and working hard and whatnot, but he has big upside. He's still really young player, so I think that can come in time. But having him as an interior rusher between Josh Allen and Chase On, I think could be really dynamic for the Jags. And at 25th overall, getting the top interior defensive lineman is nice value for them. 26th overall, I have the Browns taking Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, linebacker from Notre Dame. I think this pick makes a lot of sense for Cleveland. They could use more linebacker talent. Owusu-Koramoah would be a really good fit for defending those quarterbacks in their division with Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow and the mobility they bring. Owusu-Koramoah is really good dropping into coverage, being that quarterback spy. He also had a really good season in 2019 as a blitzer and getting after the quarterback. So he brings a lot of versatility to that defense. I think that's a good fit for Cleveland. 27th overall, I have the Ravens taking Gregory Rousseau, defensive end from Miami. Obviously, they need more edge rush after losing Matt Judon and Yannick Ngakoue in free agency, so Rousseau could come in. I think he'd learn a lot, develop well, playing next to Calais Campbell, really seeing how that veteran gets it done. 28th overall, I have the Saints taking Trayvon Moehrig, safety from TCU. Obviously, New Orleans franchised Marcus Williams. They're going to have him back. He's a free safety, but Moehrig could be that strong safety, be a plug-and-play upgrade over Malcolm Jenkins. 29th overall, I have the Packers taking Greg Newsome, the cornerback from Northwestern. Kevin King was brought back on a one-year deal, but this gives them a really talented trio with size, speed, and athleticism. If King doesn't get a contract again next year, now you have your two outside corners with Newsome and Jair Alexander, two first-round guys with size, speed, and real serious coverage ability. 30th overall, I have the Bills taking Aaron Robinson, cornerback from UCF. He's a fast, fluid athlete, really good at running the route, preventing separation, has some issues in zone coverage, kind of has a little bit of paralysis by analysis when he's forced to read too much. But in terms of man coverage, he is serious man coverage corner. I think he'd be a really nice fit across from Tre'Davious White. Josh Norman was obviously just a short-term guy there for Buffalo, so they could use a long-term corner to pair with White, and it would help to be on a cheap rookie 5-year contract as opposed to paying another corner a big contract after paying White. 31st overall, I have the Chiefs taking Zaven Collins, linebacker from Tulsa. This is a good fit for Kansas City because Collins is so versatile. He can play inside linebacker, he can play outside linebacker, good run chase, run defender, really dynamic dropping into coverage, dangerous edge rusher. So they need more edge rush across from Frank Clark. Collins can help with that. He can help their coverage in the middle of the field, help the run defense, really helps all the issues that kind of plagued that Chiefs defense late last season. 32nd overall, I have the Bucs taking Jason Owa, edge rusher, pass rusher from Penn State. Give them an understudy for Jason Pierre-Paul, a guy with a ton of upside. Owa's just got a great skill set, similar to Pierre-Paul, but with Pierre-Paul aging and nearing the end of his contract, now you have an understudy ready to take over. But in the short term and defending the Super Bowl championship, trying to win another, you got Owa to help rotate with Pierre-Paul and Shaq Barrett, keep those guys fresh, keep heat on the quarterback for 4 quarters, help close wins out, and you have some depth in case of injury. Now let's get to the teams without first-round picks, all right? First up, we got Seattle. I have them taking Levi Onwuzurike, defensive tackle from Washington. Give them an interior disruptor. They brought back Carlos Dunlap, but had to let Jaron Reed go. From cap-wise, had to pick between the two. So Onwuzurike can be that interior disruptor to replace Reed, give him some speed and get upfield and cause some havoc in the backfield for Seattle. I think that's a nice scheme fit for the Seahawks defense as well. Next up, the Rams. I have them taking Andre Cisco, safety from Syracuse. Absolute pure ball hawk. This guy was tremendous interception threat over his 2 full seasons with Syracuse. And I think for the Rams, in terms of losing safety talent and cornerback talent in free agency, this will help them, help solidify that back end, assuming Cisco should be healthy for his rookie year, which given when he tore his ACL last fall, that shouldn't be an issue. But he could have been a first-round pick before the injury, so this could be a really nice value for the Rams in the second round in terms of getting a first-round talent without having a first-round pick. So last up, we got the Texans. I have them in the third round taking Rashad Bateman, wide receiver from Minnesota. I think obviously Bill O'Brien, among the many things that he destroyed in that Texans franchise, the wide receiver position was just decimated when you're losing DeAndre Hopkins, not getting Will Fuller signed to an extension, and now you have journeyman guys like Brandon Cooks and Randall Cobb at the position. They obviously need some long-term weapons at wide receiver for whoever is their quarterback, or Deshaun Watson if he comes back. But Bateman would be a really nice value for them in the third round. Has good size, speed, has to improve the hands, has too many drops, could just stand to do more refinement and development. But that would be a really nice value for the Texans in round 3 if he gets there. I think there's a real good chance he goes in the second round, but there's so many receivers in this draft, some guys are going to slide. So we'll see who they are, but Bateman would be a nice pick for Houston. So that's this week's mock. If you click the link there, you can check out the rest of it. It's going to be 5 rounds now. It's hard to keep track. It'll be 7 rounds, of course, by the week of the draft, and updated daily there. So check out this mock. Check out Walt's mock. All the other stuff we got on Walter Football. Tons of scouting reports, position reviews, really in-depth articles ranking prospects by attribute, looking at it and how they compare to other recent draft classes as well. And then we got, of course, position rankings and a whole lot, draft rumors, everything, free agency grades. It's all there. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please like the video, share it, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you. Thank you guys so much. I'll be back with you soon. Take care. Be safe. Love you guys. See ya.